This is my biography video on Charles Spurgeon. I'm going to jump right into it and go into his biographical information and then go on to his important role and impacts that he made. Uh, he was one of our most influential Baptist speakers in history. He was born in 1834 in England, and even to this day, he remains one of the most highly influential among Christian denominations compared to other worldwide speakers. He actually didn't have a lot of educational background, and uh, he still was a strong figure in defending the church and was during the time of the Great Enlightenment and crucial criticism against liberal theology. And he brings the argument of so much Christian orthodox in the theology of conservative Christian teaching rather than those opposed. He was converted at a young age of 15. After that, he went straight into pastoral ministry, which is where he was drawn to. He started off by just teaching Sunday school and small sermons in his church, and he was baptized, and then he ended up actually speaking his own sermons at a local Baptist church. And from there, he was able to prove his knowledge and his standpoint of conservative Christian teachings. He was recognized and ended up speaking at a huge congregation, which started out as a couple dozen, but grew so quickly that it went from a couple dozen to a couple hundred, and the growing mass and size made them have to relocate several times and find a place that would accommodate his growing congregation. Um, Even though he was highly praised for his straightforward and conservative viewpoints, he was also highly criticized and accused against by more liberal standpoints. He was significant because he was a super important author who left several works that were highly impactful. They included prayers, devotionals, a lot of his sermons, and much more. All of his sermons were made into volumes, which became quite popular, and they were very powerful in terms of penetrating actual critical thought, and were recognized among a lot of Christian literature compared to most. And he also made lectures for children who had interest in pastoral, uh, basically children who wanted to pursue pastoral interest. And he played a major role in that in basically a pastoral college, which he ended up becoming the president of, and he further taught more straightforward and conservative theology. He was acclaimed speaker because he received quite a lot of attention for his standpoint and how much he stood up for what he believed in. His sermons spoke in quite a large disagreement of what other churches' theology was, which is why he received a lot of attention. He was most known for what was called the downgrade controversy, and it was a major point in his life which jeopardized his views on the Bible's claims, and he had to write responses towards the liberal tendencies and basically about them of the Baptist Union. Um, because of that, he felt the church wasn't going in the right direction and wasn't doing what was right. So because of that, he wanted the church to make a statement of faith to proclaim their position, and they ended up refusing to do so. So he resigned from his position, and with doing so, he took his congregation with him and anyone who was willing to follow him, and he pulled them out of the Baptist Union, which was probably one of the most biggest things that happened in his life. And even though he resigned from that position and pulled himself away, his works and dedication to the conservative Baptist theology still remains today as what characterized him as a teacher and a preacher and a speaker. And it leaves us with something to take from. He was a great man, and he stuck by his beliefs, and he stood so strong in defending the Orthodox and his viewpoints against liberal periods of that time. Sadly, he ended up dying in 1892, but even after his death, he's still recognized as one of the most greatest Baptist speakers in history, and there's always something we can take from, and his impact leaves us with plenty of Christian literature that is important in recognizing the history of Baptist.